Hey, welcome back to Current Mind. It's been a minute, about 2 months actually, and I 100% did not plan to take a break, but you know how this goes. Heads down. It's been quite a 2025, and I've just been learning to lean into the work and obviously figure out what's priority in the moment and sort of document later. This podcast sort of serves as my journal or founder's journal. Well, I say for the time being, but founder's journal. But I'm back because there's something I've been thinking about and want to get out. And if you're still here after 2 months of silence, I truly appreciate you. I was scrolling on LinkedIn the other day. Honestly, I scroll pretty often, off and on with LinkedIn, and I love to see people's, big wins and, founders talking about their biggest quarters, their teams growing, things scaling beautifully, comments full of congrats and fire emojis, the whole, thing. And I'm truly happy for them. And at the same time, I've been thinking about what it would look like to document actually what it is to build in us, because it doesn't have that same bright and lifestyle vibe to it, if that makes sense. So okay, so let me take my camera roll for example, right? So I have screenshots of client communications, a photo of my whiteboard with my deliverables for December mapped out, some photos that I took in traffic on Lekki just to show a client how far out I was or how bad the traffic was or is, honestly. Um, and there's a big gap between, okay, what is your documentation look like versus what you would like for it to look like. And especially for someone like me who's consumed a whole ecosystem of founders content, from LinkedIn posts to Twitter threads, podcast interviews, even TikTok videos. Everyone's packaging their journey into something that's really digestible and inspiring. Well, I say everyone, but I would say everyone that I follow at least. I particularly follow Morgan DeBon, who's the founder and CEO of Blavity and Afrotech. And I've really enjoyed watching her journey. I think I've been following her for a couple of years, but in this past year or this year specifically, I've really kind of clung to the work that she's done. I'm yet to read her book, but would like to read that as well. Or her latest book, right? But at the same time, I found myself over consuming works that she's done, other founders have done, and something I had to consistently remind myself, and even till now, is that they've built or are building in a completely different environment, right? And while I can still draw inspiration from their journeys, still celebrate with them when their team grows or their revenue is up, right? It does not take away from the reality of building here in Lagos in particular. It's here, it comes with its own set of realities that don't really translate cleanly to being digestible founder. To being digestible founder content, I guess. The power could go out in the middle of a client call. Payments take weeks to clear because maybe it's in a different currency. Systems that should be simple or at least less complicated by infrastructure bureaucracy. Honestly, just the way things work in general here, they don't necessarily allow for you to have this digestible, clean cut inspirational journey. And maybe the inspiration is you or me or you or whoever walking through the process of sort of navigating the complications that come with a lack of infrastructure, bureaucracy, all of that stuff. It's not aspirational. It's just real. It's just here. It's just business as usual here. And I've realized that my USP for this podcast or for how I show up is transparency. Not the performed kind where you share a struggle and then wrap it up with a lesson learned. Just the actual kind where you say, "This is what it is." Does that pay me all the time? No. Does it make for viral content? Definitely not. But I've accepted that too. I'm not, trying to build an audience by making people feel good about entrepreneurship. I'm just trying to build a business by doing the work and being honest about what work actually looks like. I don't know. I can, well, I do know. I'm a bit soulful, rough around the edges, and at this point, I just don't care. Not in an apathetic way, but in a I'm too busy and too hungry to care about the optics way. With this diatribe, let me tell you where I actually am with Uru Collective right now. We're in December. We have clients, we have work to do, and my focus is really singular. End the year well. Not end the year with some big announcement or milestone that looks good on paper, but just finish strong on the commitments we've made. That's not sexy content. That's not closed our Series A or we're scaling to 10 new markets. It's just we have deliverables, we have clients who are counting on us, and I'm going to make sure we execute. I've stopped measuring myself against other people's timeline or their definitions of progress. I've just accepted who I am in the system, someone who is figuring it out as I go, someone who is navigating Lagos infrastructure and business realities without the safety net of necessarily like deep foreign investment or even a Silicon Valley playbook. My mental understanding of what I'm doing has shifted completely. I'm not in the phase where I'm processing feelings about how hard this is. I just sort of accepted the hard. Running a business in Lagos is hard, period. And I'm just actively working on navigating the system as it is, not as I wish it were. I think I had a lot of like heartbreak about Nigeria, especially as someone who obviously grew up in the US and now living here and you have seen what not that the US has does everything perfectly and God knows. It's not like we do everything perfectly, but there are sets of structures and organizations that at least that you can rely on or trust that they will deliver according to what's within their yeah, that's what's within their responsibilities. And it made me sort of like aspire to what I wish Nigeria was or is. And I think that I don't know, it's almost like you've processed a heartbreak of like one or my founder content is not inspirational or aspirational. It is what it is, and I don't know what it is, if that makes sense. And then the second thing is, like, Nigeria is what it is, as it is, right? And it created a lot more of an uphill battle for me to wish for it to be something else. Wish for my founder journey or wish for my country to be like I feel like I'm getting over a heartbreak that will I say didn't need to exist? Well, I mean, obviously, like, it did exist. I I don't know, maybe that's another episode, but essentially what I'm saying is I accepted my journey for what it is and accepted Nigeria for what it is, Lagos in particular. And I've embraced what it is by embracing my own boundaries. The truth of what works for me and what doesn't, both personally and professionally, varies from the next person. I don't take calls after a certain time. I don't chase clients who aren't serious. I don't perform on social media to maintain some image of momentum. I share what's true, I share what's actually happening, and I just sort of go from there. My feelings matter for sure, but I don't pay attention to them as much as I used to because I've realized that how I feel on any given day is less important than whether I'm moving forward. Some days I feel amazing, some days I feel exhausted, and both versions are fine. The work still needs to happen. And if I had made that statement, or if someone had made that statement to me, like, what, 2 years ago or whatever it is, like, I don't know if I would have taken that well, because even as I'm saying it, it sounds very cold, but it's not. It's just focus. I'm too busy and too hungry to spend energy on optics or emotional processing that doesn't serve the business. And as I say that again, I feel like a cold-hearted person, because it's such a different statement, or it's such a different reality from where I was before, whereby I was very, how would I say it? I don't know. I think I don't know where I was before, but maybe I just took my emotions more so as like intuition. And again, that whole segue might be an entire episode. But so when I see those LinkedIn posts about, bigger quarters and explosive growth, I don't feel behind anymore. I don't feel like I'm failing because my camera roll doesn't match what they're posting. I don't feel like um I don't feel like my own path is marred. I think I'm just so, will I say, yeah, I think I'm just so tuned into what it will be in the future and what it is right now, and understanding that the gap between the two, it's okay. And I don't have to live like the gap exists, right? Like I don't have to live down on myself or hard on myself for what exists currently. And so now when I see the posts, I think, cool, that's their path and mine looks different. And I can't wait to reach out to whoever it is and, pick their brain or say congratulations, or say, hey, I love what you did here. This is what I do. I wonder if there's any synergy there. And I think I've been pretty good about that latter part of like seeing something great someone is doing and congratulating them and saying, hey, this is what I do. Is there any intersection there? Because I don't know how else you would build your network if you weren't truly like coming from a good space, or just emotionally intelligent enough to say, hey, I'm not there yet. I wonder what they're doing differently, and being vulnerable enough to say, hey, I don't know how you crack this. Can you let me know? Or like, here's what I'm sort of like seeing. And some people are very open to it, some people not so much, and it's okay because again, I'm so focused on like the growth that one no or one maybe or a canceled virtual coffee date, etc., doesn't really stop the show for me, at least anymore. Before that would have took me out for like days on end. My best friend can attest to this. Um, but my brain, I don't know, maybe it's like getting older. I don't know. But my brain just kind of switched in terms of like how I think about growth and how I think about my founder's journey. So yeah, it's okay. Your camera roll doesn't match the highlight reel. Um, my camera roll is just honest. Um, and that's me. So if you're building something and your reality does not look like the polished story you see online, I totally understand, especially if you're building in a not so especially if you're building in a not so pretty environment or structured environment. But more importantly, you also don't have to perform your way into legitimacy. You don't have to perform your way into your founder journey looking aspirational or, internationally loved. The work is the work. The system is the system. And accepting both of those things doesn't mean you're settling, just means you're clear-eyed about what you're actually doing. And I'm heading into the end of the year, focus on one thing, finishing strong on the commitments I've made, and that's it. No big announcement, no grand pivot, just a really solid execution and setup for 2026. So, if this resonates with you or you're in a similar place, I'd love to hear what you're working on, or what your camera roll looks like, not just the highlight reel. And if you've been listening to Current Mind, thank you so much. I'm trying so hard to be back more consistently because I've realized this podcast isn't really for you, but it's for me. It helps me process and stay honest and just keep my voice going even when I'm heads down in the work. So talk soon. You know where to find me. This is Current Mind. Thanks again.